Hi everyone, good morning. I'm Ellie, I'm one of your hosts for today, and welcome to our University of Lincoln Open Day. Obviously it's a virtual open day, but I am here on campus. You might be able to see behind me, our campus is right smack bang in the heart of the city by the Brayford. So you might see some boats behind me, you might see the castle and the cathedral, but we will see more of those later on. So thank you for joining us. Please do post hello in the comments section if you can. Tell us who you are, tell us where you are, and please tell us what year you're going to be joining us. We really want to know. I know that our Vice-Chancellor will be watching us today, and Mary, I'm sorry, I'm in your office. It's a bit of a takeover. Mary is a really inspirational Vice-Chancellor. She always supports us at these events, so she might post a comment to say hi as well. Mary always wants us to mention the amazing swans, otters, Muscovy ducks, and array of wildlife that we share our wonderful campus with. But I shall introduce my amazing co-host, who I'm very lucky to work with, the wonderful Emma Jubbs.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our open day. First and foremost, this is an open day. So if you are thinking that you should be at the offer holder day and you are currently an offer holder, then you are in the wrong place and your subject session is about to start. And the amazing Darren is just written at the bottom exactly where you need to be. So if you are an offer holder and you're about to start your subject sessions, then you need to sort of get rid of this tab and open a new one and go to the offer holder day and scroll down to your subject. However, we are hoping that the people that are here, Nicholas Lewis, Claudia, Elliot, hi to all of you. Tell us where you are watching from. And today is 2022, that's amazing. So anybody that is thinking of joining us for 2021 or 2022, then this is exactly the place that we want you to be. Find out about the university. This year, we know it has been amazingly challenging, not just for you, for us as well. And we are particularly sympathetic to that. And we have introduced a flexible admissions process for you. And at 10 to 11 this morning, we are going to sort of speak to Philippa, who heads up our admissions, and she can tell you a little bit more detail about that if you are a 2021 applicant. Equally, our accommodation is absolutely amazing, and we will be meeting Ben this morning at 10:30. And he will be explaining about our guarantee for our first years on campus with our accommodation, and we will be in our brand new St Mark's accommodation, which is absolutely magnificent. So hold on today, we are here for an hour. And we are going to go straight across to have a bit of a city tour, because we would love you to be on campus here with us this morning. But we are going to sort of have a bit of a city tour so that you can see Lincoln if you've never seen Lincoln before. And also we are going to be speaking about study abroad options here at Lincoln, as I've said, accommodation and admissions. So there is plenty for you to sort of listen to and hear this morning. I'm going to hand back to Ellie because I think it's almost time for us to meet Mark.
Cheers, Emma. Thank you very much for that really concise overview. Hi to Rebecca and Madeline, who are looking to join us this year in October. We can't wait to welcome you. And hi to all of my colleagues from the College of Social Science, the College of Science, the College of Arts, and the Lincoln International Business School. They're all live in the comments section. So if you do have any questions, please do post them, and either me or Emma will answer them, or one of our colleagues from the colleges will answer them. So post us your questions. We're really excited too, Jorge. So let's crack on and let's meet one of our alumni from the University of Lincoln, Mark, who's going to take us on a live city tour. Hello, Mark, how are you?
Hi, Ellie, I'm good, thanks. How are you guys? You okay?
We're really good today. The weather's looking amazing, and so grateful to you for giving us this live tour. So everyone who's watching can get a little bit of a sense of what the city of Lincoln is like, just in case you've never been here. Mark is only about 10 to 15 minutes walk away from the campus. So Mark, tell us where you are.
Yep, sure. So I'm just at the top of, well, kind of at the top of Steep Hill in the Bailgate area. Hopefully you didn't get that DPD van. I'm where the Lincoln Cathedral is. So hopefully you guys can see that there, which is a really special place in Lincoln. And obviously it's a really special place for the university and for our students and graduates as well, as this is actually where you get to graduate, which is absolutely amazing. It's where I had my graduation. Obviously graduation is special, but it's so beautiful here. Hopefully you guys can see that there. I'm trying to work the camera, sorry.
No,
It's
you're doing
absolutely stunning up here. And
brilliantly.
as you said, it's not far from the campus at all.
You're doing brilliantly, Mark. I'm going to share a little bit of history because the cathedral dates back to 1072. And for a long time, you'll be amazed to know it was the tallest building in the world, even taller than the Great Pyramid at Giza. And that was true until 1548, because there were two wooden towers on top of those brick towers or stone towers that you can see behind Mark, and they doubled the height of the cathedral. So it was absolutely viewable from hundreds and hundreds of miles away because it sits on the top of the hill of the city of Lincoln. But in 1548, there was a dreadful thunderstorm. Those towers caught fire and fell down, and they were never rebuilt. So that was the end of the cathedral being the tallest building in the world. But it's still one of the most beautiful, well worth a visit. And I'm going to ask Mark to start heading out into the Belgate area of Lincoln and show us a little bit of the city. Mark's going to be walking down from the Belgate area and showing us just how close the city is and exactly what's there as we go through. And I'm hoping you're going to get to the castle in a minute, Mark, and show us the amazing castle.
Yeah, that's fine. So I've just walked through, is it Exchequer Gate there? I always forget what it's called, sorry. And I'm in the Bailgate, the main Bailgate area now. So I'm sort of between the cathedral behind me, as you can see, and then the castle is way back there. Hopefully you guys can just see the entrance there to the castle. So again, this is a really special day for the graduation day as well. This is where the procession takes place. We have a really obviously lovely celebration behind me there on the castle grounds, which I can go closer if you want, but obviously I can give you a quick 360 of this area as well. We've got the visitor centre there.
That sounds great, Mark. It's an 11th century Norman castle, and you'll see behind Mark, that pub is called the Magna Carta, and that's because we have one of the 4 remaining copies of the Magna Carta here in Lincoln, and it's kept in the castle, although it belongs to the cathedral, and it sits alongside the Charter of the Forest, and it's really unique to have those 2 documents on which all of our civil liberties are based here in one city. So basically, if you love politics, if you love law, if you love history, if you like medieval history, Lincoln is a wonderful city. And the area where Mark was previously, it was a Roman retirement home as well. Although, Mark, I'm probably years away from anything of any interest to anyone else. So tell us what it was like to be a student in the city of Lincoln.
Oh, it was absolutely amazing. I mean, I'm here like, what, 10 years later, I haven't gone. So, yeah, I absolutely loved it, though. It was just really quirky. It had like a nice contrast as well, because obviously you could come up here, uphill, and see all of these, you know, amazing views. And obviously it's lovely in the city centre as well, but it's just a little bit different up here. And it's so cool that it's so compact and you can just get to this area so quickly. You've got all of your fancy, as you said, obviously you've got the Magna Carta, you've got your fancy pubs up here. You've got your restaurants as well, your cute little tea shops, all along up here at Steep Hill. And actually I lived quite close to here as well. So I was in a student house called Stairs House, which to my friends was classed as far away, but it was only like a 10-minute walk away from Lincoln because we're so compact, and you know, your accommodation is still close to campus. So I had the joys of sort of living in between the campuses and the Bailgate area as well, and it's just so sweet. It's really cute. Sorry guys, I hope you can see this. I'm struggling to work the camera.
No, you're doing brilliantly, Mark. And it's worth mentioning that the city of Lincoln has a population of 94,000, and 1 in 5 of those are students. So it is a really student orientated city. And as you might have noticed, Emma and I are a little bit older. So I'm going to ask Emma, as a mum, and to any mums who might be watching us today, what would you tell them about the city of Lincoln?
The city of Lincoln is obviously a very special place, but it is quite unique. You know, it is a very small city, and to lots of people it might seem as though it's somewhere that is probably small, but that's the beauty of it, because we have got everything. You know, there is all of the top, you know, I quite like my shopping, so any mums watching would be pleased to know that there's plenty of very sort of independent shops in that Belgate area where Mark is. But as he walks down the steep hill, there are lots and lots of sort of high street brands. So, you know, as Mark sort of walks down the high street, which he will be doing this morning, there is sort of, you know, sort of jewels and crew clothing. I'm trying to think of some of all those big brands. So there is something for everyone in Lincoln, and that is the absolute beauty of it. We are a mix of old and new, and that's what makes us so unique.
And I know that Mark keeps turning around, because what he's trying to show us as he's walking, and luckily I know Mark well enough to know this, is he's trying to show us that you can see the university campus from the top of the hill. So Mark, I'm going to let you try and describe what you're showing us.
Yeah, I'll try. So definitely back there in that space, you could get a really clear view. It's a bit harder here because obviously it's quite built up, but as you might be able to see behind me, because the screen's quite small for me to look at, is a lovely overview of Lincoln as well. And just back there somewhere, I can't point out exactly, is the campus. And, you know, you can definitely see it if you look hard enough. And I think at night you can see it really clearly. It really sort of glows up, similar to the cathedral, really, with the SU bar. I think it's in like different colours, isn't it? But it's just really lovely to look out from up here as well. But I'm hoping you can see a nice view of the city overall as well. But yeah, you were right. I was trying to show that.
It is such a beautiful place. And I think what Mark's always also shown us there is the lamppost that I always refer to as the Narnia lamppost, as it kind of looks like Mr. Tumnus is about to sort of appear, especially when it's snowing in Lincoln. It's such a beautiful area. Although you always say it's more like Diagon Alley, don't you, Mark?
Yeah, I guess so. It's just really, again, it's just really unique and quirky, isn't it? Can you see it there again?
Yes.
I think someone posted it on social media once, and they made it straight, and there was a big uproar. People actually thought it had been tilted. But yeah, it's really quirky.
I'm going to say a big hello to Simon, Lewis, Prashant, Claudia, Phoebe, Kaladi, Chloe, Pam watching from Vietnam. It's really nice to meet you. Alessandro, Olivia, Sheila, Sheila from Milan. Sheila, how lovely to meet you. We can assure you that Lincoln has the wonderful shopping opportunities that you would also find in Milan. And Mark, I'm just going to give you a heads up. You've got 10 minutes now to get to the campus.
Well,
so
better run.
Well, you probably don't need to run. You're not that far away.
At least we're going down the hill and not up it. So
that is true. That is much more challenging. And what's the nightlife like for students, Mark?
Well, it's been a while since I've been on a night out, but yeah, it's great. You've got loads of options. I always feel like it's quite safe as well, because you've got quite a lot sort of around the campus, as you'll see as we get further down. You've got obviously the bars and things on the Brayford waterfront, but then you can come onto the high street, which I'm approaching in a minute, and go to some more sort of mainstream bars. You know, you can get a cocktail, go to a gym bar, have a little dance usually. And if you want to brave Steep Hill on a night out, you can obviously go further up. There's some everywhere sophisticated, but it's just got probably a bit more of a sophisticated feel up there. So whatever kind of night you feel like having, you can kind of just go and have it in Lincoln, basically. Really lovely.
No, that's great. And AD is asking, how diverse is Lincoln, the city and the university, racially?
Oh, sorry, are you asking me that question, Ellie?
Yes, yeah. Well, as a student, Mark, sorry, I should have been clearer there, Mark.
It's all right. And yeah, it's really diverse in lots of different aspects, definitely. Obviously, we welcome all types of students and everyone, but yeah, I never really had any bad experiences as a student. And you know, for myself, I was a mature student. You know, I'm gay, so and I never had any issues at all. Everything was absolutely fine for me. I really enjoyed it. And as you said, it's quite a student-led city, so I think you've got, you know, in a small space, you've got quite a few different people from different areas all in Lincoln, haven't you, as well, which I think really helps with diversity.
We have students from 140 different countries, so you do get a lot of diversity, and it's fabulous because you suddenly discover you're friends with people from all around the world, and it gives you great opportunities to visit them. Obviously, when we're not in COVID times and subject to government guidance, but Lincoln has previously been voted quite a few times as one of the friendliest cities in the UK, and it is an incredibly friendly place to be. Mark often ends up chatting to people and was chatting to someone before we came live on air. Is that true, Mark?
Yeah, it is, and it might happen on my walk down the high street. But yeah, bless her, she ended up on camera as well, so never mind. But yeah, it's very friendly. Yeah, as I said, I've had a really positive experience. I've really enjoyed it. I think it's definitely a really good city to start out living independently as well. And you know, if you want to stay here like I have, there's loads of opportunities after that as well. But yeah, a really friendly city. I'm sure I'll bump into someone somehow.
No, I think you're right. And what advice would you give to anyone who's joining us this year in October and maybe sort of not sure whether to come to uni at the moment? What advice would you give, Mark?
First of all, I always say, you know, what have you got to lose? If you're thinking about it, if you're interested and you've seen Lincoln and you like what we have to offer, you like the city, just go for it. I just think university overall, obviously, it changes your life. And for me, Lincoln was just perfect for me, and that enhanced it. That made it like, you know, better than it ever could be. So if you like the look of Lincoln, you know, you like the university, I just think, why not? Obviously, we're hoping to be back to normal times by then. So I think we should just look forward and look forward to the experience, really.
And we will be talking to the Students' Union later on to find out what they've got planned for freshers this coming year. And we are hoping to start one-to-one tours as soon as we are able, aren't we, Emma? I know you've been working on this so we can actually get people onto campus physically. Did you want to talk about that a little bit, Emma?
We absolutely are. You know, I mean, as Mark is doing an amazing job showing us the city, but there is nothing like actually coming to the city itself and seeing exactly our campus and the city. And what we are attempting to do as soon as we can is you can pre-register on our website to book a campus tour. And we are looking to introduce that as soon as government guidance allows. So hopefully towards the end of March and into April and into May, and develop those tours as much as we can so that we can bring you onto campus and you can walk around and do the walk that Mark is actually doing, and actually see all of the beautiful city and the facilities on campus. We've got some incredible facilities on campus. And I know that lots of people are sort of asking about sort of sports facilities, and they are all there. And you know, please, that's exactly where we're trying to go. Mark is now just walking through the stone bow.
Yeah,
So
there you go, guys.
that's fab.
And Henry VIII stayed there. Sorry, I do like to throw in a few little history bits. He did visit Lincoln, and that was one of the places that he actually went to. And you can go and visit yourself as well. It's often open, I believe, on a Tuesday or Saturday. I am going to answer Wilfred's question, if that's all right, because he's asked twice. Wilfred's saying, I've got a place in October. Will things be back to normal? Wilfred, it's really hard to answer that question. Obviously, we're all hoping that life will be back to normal, and Wilfred's asking if it will still be online. At the moment, we're teaching all our practical courses face-to-face, and we've tried to deliver face-to-face as much as we could throughout, subject to government guidance. And we've had lots of our students still here on campus throughout. So we've made things as normal as possible. We're very lucky because our campus is so big. We've been able to utilize so much of our space to create good social distance teaching space and good social distance outdoor space. I'm going to comment on this. This is Stokes Coffee Shop. And I have to say, my last historical fact of the day, it's 120 years old. So it's been serving the best coffee in the world for 120 years. Over to you, Mark.
Well, don't expect any historical facts from me, Ellie, but yeah, I know you like Stokes, and it is a lovely place, and it's great to grab a drink, so I thought I'd show that as well. But yeah, I think on the High Bridge, I think that's what the locals call it. So yeah, so you can see there's a lovely view there, a nice place to sit, obviously, but I'm basically in the busier part of the High Street now. So you go further down there for more shops. You can go, you can see the campus if you walk down there, but there's different ways to get to the campus from here. Obviously, I've walked through the Stone Bow there from Steep Hill, and as you said, there's Stokes behind me. I think I'm going to go through, if I've got this right, the Glory Hole there to get to campus, because obviously it's, it's in the day, why not? And there's a lovely view at the other end of there, so I guess I'll look forward to showing you guys that.
And just behind you, Mark, of course, is the railway station. So again, yes, a really short walk from the campus, the railway station. You can go directly to London or to lots of other places, and it's literally a short walk. So the key thing is probably that you don't need a car here in Lincoln. You don't even need a bicycle. There's no buses or taxi rides late at night. You're incredibly sort of safe and don't need to walk far. And here you are coming up by the Brayford, which was what made Lincoln so important as a setting in the medieval period. I hand over to you to carry on with the history, Mark.
To me. I can't continue with the history, but I can definitely agree with you about public transport not needing like a car and stuff. You definitely don't need one. The only reason I brought a car in second year was because I lived in a small town around an hour's drive away, but at the time on the train and whatnot, it just took a little bit longer, but it just sat there and I only used it to go home. I did not need it in Lincoln at all. But yeah, it's lovely, isn't it? So I'll just go through this bridge and then I can show you a view of the Brayford waterfront, and we'll be able to start to see the campus as well. I don't know if you can see this, but you've got the Odeon Cinema there, pretty much opposite campus. Hopefully I don't lose signal.
It is called the Glory Hole. That's its name. And the bridge that Mark's going under at the moment, it says, "Where are you going?" which I always find really intriguing, makes you think. And if I stood up and looked out my window in about 20 seconds, I would be able to see Mark.
Then it says, "Where have you been?" Oh yeah, shall I try and give you a wave?
Yeah.
Hiya. Right. Let me try and get a better view for you all. So I've just come from obviously under that bridge that says, "Where are you going?" At the other end it says, "Where have you been?" which is really quirky. And then here's the Brayford waterfront. You've got the cinema, probably see the start of obviously the bars, the restaurants, etc. Costa, student accommodation over there as well. I'll try and get set central on the Brayford waterfront so we can see a bit of both sides. But yeah, it's just really picturesque. It was definitely something that took me by surprise on my first visit to Lincoln. I mean, I lived in a small town. I had no idea there was going to be such a lovely contrast. You can see, if I'm going the right way, yeah, you can see like the boats and things, and it's just really sweet, and it's just a lovely contrast. It really is.
And the important thing to mention is probably that building's all the way down the left of the screen behind Mark is all the University of Lincoln, and the larger buildings on the right behind Mark is University Accommodation Accommodation, and the building in the middle is University Accommodation. So all of the accommodation is either on campus or within a very short walk of the campus.
Yeah, definitely. And as you mentioned, the train station earlier, it's literally just behind those buildings pretty much. It's not far at all because obviously campus is just here. So, but yeah, hopefully this is a nicer view of the Brayford waterfront for you all.
That is beautiful, and hopefully it sort of gets across this unique element that the University of Lincoln is a campus university, so everything you need is on campus. We've got a massive students' union with a venue that holds 3,000 people or 400 socially distanced. We've got accommodation on campus, but we are right in the heart of a very student-orientated, very friendly, beautiful city. And hopefully you've seen there's some of the different areas in the city. Emma, are there any points that you would point out that perhaps we haven't covered already?
I don't think so. I think, you know, Mark, you've done a brilliant job sort of showing how beautiful the city is, and then moving on to the campus and right in the centre, and how, you know, this, you can't ever imagine how close you are unless you've had this sort of tour or you've been on campus. And all of those either side of Mark are university buildings. So if you're interested in sort of psychology or health or business, you know, these are brilliant. Thank you, Mark. And as we move across to Ben, we will see the other side of campus, and looking from the accommodation to Mark almost. So we literally circulate around everywhere around the Brayford pool. So yeah, we've got a railway line there that Mark is just showing, so it just indicates how close everybody is. And I know there's questions about parking, but please, the big thing is, don't worry about bringing a car to Lincoln. It absolutely is not required, and it is an added obstacle that you really do not need.
And there's a coach station, Kerry. We mentioned the train station, but there is also a bus station as well, Kerry, which is, again, less than 10 minutes walk from the campus. It's probably even less than that. It's probably about 5 minutes. I've never walked there, Emma, but you might know better than me.
I would say it's literally a 5-minute walk. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm fortunate. I live in the city, and I never ever go on public transport. You know, it is, unless you are considering going home, then that's literally all you need to do. But everything is perfectly situated to us, and it's literally a 5-minute walk, and that's me walking. So you know, that's not an exaggeration. That's a great picture, Mark.
Sorry, I keep moving every time you say it looks good. Sorry. There we go.
You can see up to the cathedral where we started, and hopefully this tour has given you a really wonderful sense of what it's like. There's a lot of talk about bicycles, and I must mention that on campus we have lots of bicycles that you can actually take out and cycle outside of the city if you want to. There's lots of nature parks just over there that Mark just showed us for a moment. That's where the otters are living at the moment, and Emma and I get very excited. Yes. Yes. Sorry. Yes, I believe the otters are just down there, and if you're really lucky, you see them when you come out of the Students' Union, and they're absolutely beautiful. There's always ducks and swans.
I know, I was trying to get a swan for you guys, but I can't see one today, which is really rare. It's probably further down closer to campus.
We normally have a swan cam when the signets come to keep an eye on them, but we've got 1 minute left of our tour. So Mark, I'm gonna look to you to wrap up our tour, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, thanks for having me, guys. I just hope you have all enjoyed like the city tour, and you've been able to see like just exactly what your walk to campus would be, because obviously behind me there is the main building on campus. So we'd literally, if I was a student and I was coming from the cathedral for whatever reason, it takes no time at all. It's really picturesque and lovely, and there's so many places to stop and get a drink, etc. And it's just a lovely view. But hope you've all enjoyed it, and obviously I'll hand over to Emma and Ellie for any questions. Obviously we'll be able to answer. But yeah,
thank you, Mark.
That's all
you
right.
are the best tour guide.
I think now, as an alumni, we are sort of leaving you, Mark. You can catch your breath and get yourself a coffee, and we are moving across to meet one of our current students so that we can actually speak to Andre, who is one of our current students, and he has actually had a year abroad, Andre. So good morning and welcome.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm perfect, thank you very much. We are delighted to invite you today. So do you want to tell us a little bit on your sort of title? We've got a word called Erasmus, which might be something that many people have no idea what that means. So do you want to just briefly explain what course you're on and what Erasmus means? I'm sorry, everybody, there's a little bit of interference with Andre at the moment, so bear with
Not at all.
that.
Not at all.
Protect your voice.
Right. So I am currently a student of psychology with clinical psychology. I'm actually in the lovely Sarah Swift building in the computer lab, which is where the School of Psychology is located. And Erasmus is one of the schemes, one of the opportunities for students to go abroad and study abroad. So students who have finished this study abroad, they often call themselves Erasmus Plus alumni. So that's why the word is there.
That's amazing. So do you want to tell us where you went, what you did?
Right, so I spent a year abroad at the lovely University of Padua in Italy, which is located in the Veneto region, and it's very close to Venice, so people probably will know where that is. It's quite exciting, and you can travel, everything's close, so that's really nice. And my study abroad was a very special experience. It's very hard to quantify what it's like, but I would say that it is one of the most important points of my studies, and you get to sort of study in a completely different environment. So you get to sort of test out how students in other European countries get to study. So, for example, it's quite normal in Italy to, during your lunch break, to just have a glass of wine and chat to other students, which in the UK might be a little bit unusual. And you also get the wonderful sense of the international exchange community. So as an Erasmus student, you're a part of something that's called the Erasmus Student Network. And it's a student-led organization that sort of takes care of exchange students. We normally get a buddy, so that's a local student that will help you with getting used to living abroad. There are at least 2 or 3 events organized per week. So you can, for example, learn how to cook something of the traditional cuisine, or you can just go for a night out, or you can travel around and explore the country, which is a wonderful thing to do. And
yeah, sorry, that's just amazing. Thank you. And I know we are really short of time this morning to get everything packed into everything that we do. So I just want to sort of say to our viewers, if you are watching live, then please ask the questions. We have a team of experts who are sort of on the chat now. And if you are really considering that actually traveling abroad as part of your studies and having sort of sharing sort of Andre's experience, then please ask the questions this morning and we can sort of answer those and explain all of the opportunities that are available. And it sounds, Andre, that you sort of tell us, you don't sound like you're sort of particularly local to Lincoln. So where did you choose, why did you choose Lincoln, and why, and sort of how did you find out about us, and where are you from?
Well, I'm actually Czech. My accent's a little tricky, I would say, but I come from the Czech Republic. I'm an EU student, and I chose Lincoln because I loved Lincoln. You know, we've just had the tour, and Lincoln's just a wonderful place to live in. And also, the School of Psychology offers specialized courses. So as I already said, I'm interested in clinical psychology, and it's one of the few universities that actually offers the specialism right from the beginning. So I'm an undergraduate student at the moment, and from the very beginning, I've been able to focus on what I'm interested in. So that's why I chose Lincoln.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. And please, as I've said, please sort of ask any further questions. We can see Sky and other people are asking questions, and our team of experts will absolutely be able to answer those this morning. And Andre may pop on himself and answer some of those questions. And we're all here this morning to be able to answer anything that you've got. And if you're watching this not live, then please ask your questions anyway. Email us at enquiries@lincoln.ac.uk, and we will be there to answer your questions if you are not watching us live and you're watching us on demand as such. Ellie, thank you so much, Andre. Sorry our time this morning is very short, but now is the time to move across to St Mark's Accommodation, I believe, Ellie. Is that right?
Spot on. Thank you, Andre. That was so interesting. And thank you, everyone, for your questions. Let's say goodbye, Andre, and hello to Ben Ball, who is our king of accommodation here at Lincoln. I'm a massive fan of Ben. Ben was fabulous when my stepson came to Lincoln, and he helped him find the right accommodation. And Ben, you look like you're in a show home. That looks amazing.
We've managed to get into St Mark's Student Village for the past few open days, and it's been really good. And I know we are tight for time, but I thought I could just do a quick coffee. But I'll leave that. This is one of the kitchens, 9-bedroom student accommodation. You can see we've got fridge freezers, we've got cookers, sinks, a range of cupboards under this work island, and cupboards for everybody. Lots of space. This one in particular is a 9-bedroom apartment. So we're just going to guess, because of the time that we know we've got pushed on this day, you can now see a lounge space and a dining space, TVs in all of our apartments in St Mark's Student Village, coffee tables. Right, whether Logan can just scan that picture to see, we've just seen Mark. We might even see Mark. If that settles, it might be the new Lincoln Medical School, which is literally 3 or 4 minutes away from where we are at one of the furthest extents in St Mark's Student Village, which has just over 1,200 bedrooms that will come to us for October. We have a range of student accommodation which has around 6 or 7 different choices, which runs from accommodation that has non-ensuite and shared facilities to studio facilities where you can have independent living. The vast majority of our accommodation is ensuite, and if you have a look at the university website on the accommodation pages, you'll be able to see all of that. Normally, Ellie would ask me to go through a whole list of things, but I do know you push for time. If you need to contact us, accommodation@lincoln.ac.uk, but also there is a great resource site called accommodation.lincoln.ac.uk, which has lots of photographs and descriptions of all of our accommodation available. So we're just going to move around the apartment a little bit, trying to show you an example of a bedroom. As I say, St Mark's will have 1,200 bedrooms for October, just over 1,300 when it's complete. We also provide domestic equipment. We always like to get the domestic equipment, ironing board, vacuum cleaners, mops and buckets, so students don't need to bring that as they arrive. We walk down into what is a fairly long corridor. Just quick back into the kitchen, you see 2 microwaves in a 9-bedroom apartment. All of those basic facilities are provided.
It does look wonderful, Ben. I understand that for students joining us this year, there is an accommodation guarantee. So and we've got students who are interested in 2021 and 2022. So can you explain what the guarantees are for both, please, Ben?
I can tell you that for 2021 arrivals, a guarantee that if you make an application for accommodation and make the university or firm choice by the 1st of September 2021, you are guaranteed hall style accommodation from our portfolio of accommodation, not particularly one particular one, but from our whole list of accommodation. When we open up in for 2022 arrival, then those guarantees will probably be reviewed and slightly reset. There is an early option where people were able to guarantee their first choice if they made an application by March, but that would be March of 2022 when we got to that point for entry 2022 to keep everybody updated. But into an ensuite bedroom, quick squeeze into the ensuite, just so you've got an idea. You've got an ensuite shower, toilet, wash hand basin in every room. You then come into the extent of the bedroom, double wardrobe, work surface, shelving, storage, small double bed. It's called a 3/4 size bed actually, but it is a small double bed, and that comes along with a great, this is a massive storage facility for us. We've got underbed storage and this set of shelving behind it, so students can make their own mark on the room.
It does look fabulous, and I'm just going to say hi to Leslie, who's watching, and who says the St Mark's accommodation is looking great. Thanks, Leslie. I have to say it is looking absolutely beautiful. I'm very proud that all of our accommodation is exceptional, and I think just picking up on that accommodation guarantee, the short version is there is an awful lot, or not an awful lot, there is a fabulous lot of accommodation that we have here at Lincoln. It's all to a very high quality standard, and you provide a sort of round the clock support service, and I think there are residential wardens as well who provide support. Is that right, Ben?
Yes, so accommodation services have a 24-hour team that will support things that might go bump in the night, for want of a better phrase. If we get breakages or things not working, there is a response team that's available to support lots of different things. The residential wardens work within our own university managed student accommodation, and they are what I would call a bit of a shoulder to lean on at times. If a student's they're not quite sure where to go, they're not quite sure how to deal with something, they're a great support group to be able to say, we have been students at the University of Lincoln, of which they generally all are, and they can tell you and point you to the right direction, at least even have a chat with you of an evening. That sometimes helps as well. They're a great team.
That's fabulous. Emma, have you got any questions for Ben before we say goodbye?
No, I think it is just really, as Darren beautifully has put on the slide at the bottom, for more information and for the array of accommodation that we have got, which I hope we've sort of explained to you this morning, is sort of in very, very close proximity of the campus. Go on and have a look at the website pages. The accommodation team are around all morning, so if you want to ask them questions on our sort of feed, then please ask the questions, because everybody will have very specific questions, Ben, won't they, about their needs, their requirements, and the team here, as Ellie said at the outset, are absolutely incredible and will accommodate as much as they possibly can. So please don't be afraid to ask anything that you're not quite sure about student accommodation, because we understand that it is a big decision to make and to choose your accommodation within budget and also so that it fits your needs, and we can do that perfectly.
That's great, Emma. I just want to pick up on Claudia Henderson's question, which is really, really important. Claudia said, I'm hoping for more course-specific information. Claudia, there is more course-specific information. If you go onto the Virtual Open Day website and you scroll down, we are the general welcome. So me and Emma and all of the team who you meet here with us this morning, we're a kind of general welcome. So we say hi and we give you an idea what it's like to live and study in Lincoln. The next part of the open day is to go and find out about your course, and you can literally scroll down the Virtual Open Day page, and me and Emma are both pointing you in the right direction, and you will find the course of interest for you. So for you, it's animal behaviour in our College of Science, and you will find lots of resources showing you what the college is like, introducing you to our students. Sorry, Ben.
Oh, it's all right. Get everybody in there. Keep staying on all of the channels, was what I was trying to say.
That's a really good point. So you'll find general information. You'll also find Ben's team there. You'll find the Uni Buddy system that lets you talk to other students, and you'll find out lots more. So that's where you'll go when we finish our general welcome, and that all starts at 11 o'clock, doesn't it, Emma?
It certainly does, yes. So I think it's now time to find out about student life and to say goodbye to Ben for now and move across and meet our amazing Georgia, who is you sort of head up really the Students' Union, Georgia, I would say, really, don't you?
Thank you very much, Emma. So I'm one of our student leaders, and we are a student-run organisation for anyone who doesn't know much about student unions. But between the 5 of us that have been students, loved our time here at Lincoln, we help represent everyone and put on great events and get you all involved. But yeah.
And you do that amazingly well.
Thank you.
Yeah, you do. You are amazing. You're our heroes, really. There's been so much going on this year, and you guys have been at the heart of it all. The question we keep getting asked is, will student life be normal from this autumn? And I know none of us can say for sure what life will be like this autumn, but I know you guys are planning for regular freshers. So I guess it would be really good to know a little bit more about what you've got planned for this autumn, what you're expecting, and also how people get involved, what clubs and societies there are, that kind of stuff. Georgia, would that be okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like Ellie said, obviously everything's COVID dependent and on the restrictions that are going on. But the way that things are looking at the moment, we're already planning for a bit of a freshers for all of our current students in June. So if you wanted to have a look at kind of what the events we do, if you can pop over to the website, you can see all the stuff planned that will be happening in June. But for our October starting students, we usually put on a full week, which is either called Welcome Week or Freshers, dependent on what side of our marketing you get on. But that is events from big quizzes. We have a big Freshers quiz that we have every single year, and there's incredible prizes, hundreds of students, a really great place as well if you're coming with like your house and you want to do something together for the first time as a new flat. We have cinemas, so we have a really big outdoor screen and one for inside at one of our venues, the Engine Shed. So hopefully if the weather's good, we tend to do that outside and have a big open cinema. But if it's not, we have all the festoons up in the Engine Shed, so it's a really nice cozy environment. We have lots of nights out and things like that as well. So we have our main student night out, which is Quack, where if you're lucky enough, you can catch little ducks every Wednesday. So that's our main student night every single Wednesday, and we have one during the Welcome Week, obviously, and we have events that kind of sandwich in the week so that you can, you know, go out with your flatmates, get to know different people, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's a full week packed of things throughout the day, throughout the evening. We have all of our fairs so that you can get to know kind of the larger city. We have stalls from everywhere. So, you know, you can get to know what commercially goes on in the city, kind of what shops and things like that. But then we also have our sports societies and academic societies fairs where you can actually get to know about the different clubs and activities and things. So if you're a student who really likes sports and you want to get in the competitive side, we have so many teams that enter in books, which is like the main competition for university sports. We have football, rugby, fencing, kind of anything that you can think of. And if it's not on that list, you can start it as well, which is definitely one of the great selling points of students' unions, I think. There's always the opportunity to do new things. And we also have obviously our societies as well. So if you're not as sporty inclined, which was definitely me back in my undergraduate. So if you want to get more involved in just kind of the social clubs and things like that, and meeting up and talking about shared interests, we have so many opportunities for that. As a students' union, we have weekly events on, like those quizzes and things like that. We also, during kind of the welcome period as well, we do welcome tours. So the idea that Emma and Ellie, you were talking about with the one-to-one walking tours sounds incredible. And I will definitely be signing myself up for a nice little refresher of the city. But we also do group walking tours, COVID obviously compliant and all that kind of stuff, and cycle tours on our bikes because we have a bike hiring system. There's quite a lot of opportunities like that, so it's very easy to get around on foot or on a bike if you want to be a bit quicker. But yeah, we spend all of our year just making sure you guys have access to the city, you have access to all the events, and just working with the university to promote that as much as we can, so you always know what's going on.
There's some really good questions. There's one from B. McKen. Do the Dance Society compete?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So the Dance Society compete kind of on their own level. I'm not quite sure if they're in books, but they do competitions all the time against other universities in different kind of levels of competition. We also have something called the Society Showcase. So for Dance Society, Drama Society, those kinds of things, we have kind of like an house students union kind of day where people can just go and show all their different talents and kind of show what they've been getting up to. So there's loads of different opportunities for competition kind of at loads of different levels. So if you are very competitive, there's so many options, but if you're more just wanting to show off your talents and kind of show off the work you've done, there's loads of opportunities there. So yeah, absolutely.
No, that does sound great. I have to mention that our producer today is Darren, and he's an alumnus of the university. And he was telling me very proudly the other day that when he was a student here, he was the head of Gryffindor. And I know that there's a really wide array of societies, from bobsleigh to to Harry Potter to weightlifting as well. What kind of societies did you join, Georgia?
Yeah, so I kind of like Darren, I was a part of a society in my first year. I actually helped co-found the Fencing Society, which is a sport. I've only fenced about 4 times, so it's not as impressive as it sounds. Everyone always pulls that face, and I'm like, oh, I can name the weapons, probably can't fence them anymore. But so I co-founded that, and I was the vice president. So I helped put on socials, we put on an end of year ball, that kind of thing. And then in my 3rd year, I actually joined the Drama Society because I've acted throughout my entire life, and it was probably one of the best things that I've ever done because I got to act in one of my favourite plays as my kind of like my dream role. So there's so many different opportunities like that. We have some really kind of cool and quirky ones like Breads and Spreads, which is basically a society that talk about different breads and spreads, as simple as it sounds. And, you know, when we're able to meet up in person, they meet up and kind of share food and things like that. And then, you know, we have like the Fandom Society, and they talk about all different kinds of things like, you know, like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, that kind of stuff. So everyone's able to kind of find their niche here, I think, which is what really makes Lincoln quite unique.
You can't leave us hanging though, Georgia. What was your dream role? What was the part you played? You tried to avoid that, but we're just
So my favourite Shakespeare play is The Tempest, which with a northern accent always sounds very weird doing Shakespeare because it doesn't come out quite as it's intended, but I think it's funny. And I played Miranda. It was my dream role. I'd done Prospero when I was in my GCSEs, and I really wanted to do my Miranda, my dream role. So it's a great experience.
No, that sounds great. I've got 2 questions for you. One is, you didn't mention headliners for freshers. Do we know who the headliners are this year or not yet?
Not yet, but to give you a little taste in terms of the people that we have had in the past, we have quite a lot of big names. So we had Sean Paul in my 3rd year, I think, which blew my mind. It was great. And we've had Florence and the Machine a few years back. One of the good things about our venues, kind of like Ellie said, so we have the Engine Shed, which we have gigs on that are open to the public, but we have a lot of student tailored events. So we have like comedy nights. We had Russell Kane this freshers, who, if you like a bit of comedy, it was an absolutely sensational event. So definitely keep an eye out. But yeah, we have so many different options in terms of kind of like gigs and things like that that go on through the summer. Something I'd definitely recommend if you're an incoming student, whether it's for 21 or 22, just scroll through our website, scroll through the events, because you will absolutely find something for you. There's something for everyone there.
And my last question before I hand over to Emma is, what would you say to anyone thinking about coming this year? What advice would you give? How should they prepare? You've just been through this, Georgia. What would you recommend?
So in terms of preparations, something I did when I first came to uni is I panicked so much in the run-up about how much stuff I had to bring, and I packed up my entire life and brought it all into my, my very nicely sized student accommodation, to be quite honest. But you definitely don't need to bring all those extra books and all those extra little bits and bobs that you need. You will find a life and settle in here yourself. So don't panic about that. Your parents will be dying to come up and see you as well. So if you forget anything, don't worry. Tell them that the cathedral's got a nice event on, or the castle's got some good tickets, and then I'm sure they'll bring up those extra hangers and things. But I think probably my main advice, and I think someone commented, there is no limit in terms of how many clubs and societies and things you can join up with. But if you can find like 2 or 3 that you really like, and you can try out any of them that you want during the welcome weeks, but get yourself out there, find what you like, find that group of friends that you want to make, and just, you know, just push yourself out there as much as you can, and just make the most of it, because it's an incredible city, like Mark showed, and especially if you can get yourself down when restrictions relax, I would absolutely recommend it, because Lincoln's beautiful, and our campus is incredible as well. So come and see it as soon as you can.
Oh, Georgia, you're fabulous. Thank you so much. Emma, any final questions for Georgia?
I don't think so, Georgia. I think, again, you're here, you work as sort of leaders incredibly hard, and I know you have done this week with sort of the new incoming student leaders for this year, for those people that are wanting to join for 2021, and you work so hard for our students, and the support that you give, it's not just fun, it can be sort of learning support as well. And I think it's really important to know that if you've got any further questions after today, then please just ask away, and we've got a whole host of students that can sort of answer those questions throughout the whole sort of journey of between now and the autumn.
Yeah.
Brilliant, Emma. Thank you so much. I think it's time that both Georgia and I said goodbye, because I need to run off and run a different session. So goodbye, Georgia. And thank you, Emma. Have a wonderful time. I know you're going to go and meet admissions now. So goodbye from me.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, both of you. And yes, as Ellie said, it is a hello to Philippa. Hi, Philippa. And Philippa is one of our admissions managers here at the university. So please, if you are considering applying to the university, which we hope you are, and applying to university, we know we've got a mix of 2021 and 2022 applicants here this morning, then this is the place to be and ask your questions. So we've got sort of 5 minutes with you, Philippa, really, before the parents' talk and Gareth starts his parents' talk. But first and foremost, are you able to still apply for 2021?
Hi, Emma. Yes. Yeah, good morning. Yes, absolutely. You can still apply for 2021. We are still open for business, as it were. So the majority of our courses are still open up until the end of June, which is when the main application cycle closes. But then, of course, as many viewers may be aware, there's a process called clearing as well. So the opportunity to apply is going to be available to applicants way up until September time, I would imagine. So we are still open to apply, and there's only a couple of courses that we've closed, and that's our paramedic science and midwifery programme. Highly competitive programmes, receive a lot of applications for those, so we can't receive any more for those, but everything else is open for new applications.
At the outset of this stream, we talked about the flexible approach that we have got for applicants this year. Do you want to just sort of explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, okay, so just recently we applied flexible admissions for our applicants who have been made an offer. So essentially, if anybody's been made an offer and their results are within 16 UCAS points of the offer that they received, they're guaranteed a place here at the University of Lincoln. Likewise, if their grades don't come within that threshold, we'll then look at your predicted grades, and if they're within 16 points of your offer, then again we will guarantee a place for you at the University of Lincoln. So there's just a little bit there of a bit of a safety net, if you like, for our applicants to try and ease the pressure on them. It's been a turbulent year. We appreciate and understand how much pressure our applicants are under. So this is just to try and ease a little bit of the pressure off them during this time.
I think it's just really reassuring for anybody that's wanting to apply this year, because we know it is incredibly sort of stressful. And those of you that are watching in year 12 as well, I just hope that gives a bit of reassurance. We are sympathetic to your sort of journey that you've sort of had. I think that's the sort of takeaway. We do understand.
Yeah.
We certainly do understand, don't we?
Yes, absolutely.
So Chloe has asked, and it doesn't sound silly, there is never ever a silly question, Chloe. This might sound silly, but what if I don't get my GCSE English? So is there any sort of advice if people are worrying about sort of grades, which I guess people will be doing at this point in the cycle?
Yeah, of course. And there are a few of our programmes where we do require those GCSEs specifically. But during the summer, when we receive your results, we will look at your application again as a complete application. So we'll consider all of your results, including your GCSEs. And if you haven't quite met that GCSE threshold, but you have achieved high in other areas, then, we may be able to, that GCSE English, we may be able to, not consider, if you like. But it all depends on the profile and the overall final profile of your application. So, and also as well, if it's a specific requirement of the course for our healthcare programmes, for example, we do require that as part of the NMC requirement is to have that GCSE. So it all depends on the type of course you're applying for and your overall profile at the end when we receive all of your results.
But Chloe, I think that, and anybody else watching, there is never a very silly question, and our team of admissions advisors are here. And if you want to sort of email them on the back of today, or if you're not watching live, that you sort of want to ask those questions, then please email admissions@lincoln.ac.uk. And you are here throughout the whole cycle to answer those questions.
Absolutely.
And then individual sort of questions.
Yes.
I'm really conscious that our parents' talk is due to start, or we're 2 minutes late, so Gareth will be shouting at me. I can hear him now. But just what I want to sort of say, really, Philippa, is the fact that if you are considering sort of making an application to Lincoln, what sort of things or what advice would you give for students that are considering sort of yet to submit their application? What sort of advice, where would you sort of advise them to look to get their support?
Okay, so there's lots of different things that we offer. You've got the university website. If you know what the type of course you want to apply for, please go to our website. And there's lots of information on our website and under all of our course pages. If you're still not sure, UCAS also have lots of information on there about applying to university in general, and also our course pages are on there as well. You can call us. Our admissions team are taking calls, so we are available online. We also have an online chat as well that's available on our website. So if you want to live chat us, you can do. And also email, good old-fashioned email. Get in touch with us if you have any questions about entry requirements or what the course would be like. We can put you in touch with the right people as well if you want to find out a bit more about modules, for example, or what it's like to study a particular course. So please do get in touch with us. We will be able to answer your questions.
You are amazing. Just one last question before you go, Philippa. Madeline Williams has asked, she has an offer for pharmacy, so congratulations, Madeline, that's fantastic. For ABB, will Lincoln be flexible on results day with the uncertainty of exams this year if I got one grade below? So it's just reiterating, Philippa, the message that you gave, I think, to Madeline, just so that she can sleep at night.
Yes, absolutely. So yes, if you get one grade below your offer, then yes, you're fine under our flexible admissions process. So you will be absolutely fine. Also as well, you've asked about the EPQ there. We do accept EPQ as part of the overall tariff when we look at your grades. And also we do accept core maths. We accept most qualifications that got a UCAS tariff associated to them. So yes, you'll be absolutely fine, Madeline. I think there was another one there as well, Emma, about 2022 applicants. Yes, it does apply to 2022 applicants as well if you're deferring this year.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. As Philippa said, there is a whole host of ways that you can ask questions. Continue to ask this morning, and the team of experts are here to answer, but do not sort of stop there. Please ask the questions at any sort of normal working day, and people are here to answer in all sorts of formats. I'm going to say goodbye to you now, Philippa. Thank you so much. You are full of knowledge, And I am going to invite Gareth Oliver in. Good morning, Gareth.
Morning, Emma. And I would never shout at you, Emma. We've known each other for far, far too long to shout at each other. So,
thank you. My time management is probably not my strong point, though, Gaz. I think that is fair to say. This point of the morning is really a handover to parents. So any of those parents that are sort of watching along with your students, please, students, now go and leave and open another tab and go and have a look at your course, because it's really important to go down on the university website to find your course and find out a little bit more about the course, and ask the students on Unibuddy and the student ambassadors that are here today about the actual course and the student experience. But as a parent, we are extremely mindful of the fact that it's not only a difficult decision for the student, but also as a parent, and you need to know everything that your 17, 18-year-old is probably not telling you. So I am going to hand over to Gareth, who is our Schools and Colleges liaison manager. And as he said, we have both worked at the university an awful long time. And so he is the absolute font of all knowledge, and also a parent and a grandparent.
don't big me up too much.
I know, it's true, it's all true. But please ask Gareth your questions, and I'm going to say goodbye and thank you so much this morning for tuning in. Goodbye.
So, good morning and welcome. Today I'm going to talk to you about the important things your child needs to be considering between submitting their UCAS application and starting university. So very much their next steps. Some of what we'll talk about will reinforce what others have already said, and some will be new. And if you have any questions, please do pop them in the chat. So your son or daughter has applied. What happens next? What important things do you need to think about and they need to think about between now and the start of university? So what I'm going to be looking at over the next sort of 15-20 minutes is their offers, firm and insurance choice selection, student finance, what additional financial help is out there for them, accommodation, budgeting, and then some just top tips for you and them to remember, really. So let's have a look at these in a little bit more detail. So with the decisions that they get back from their universities, get them to double check as they come in to make sure that they fully understand them. If it's an offer, it should be conditional. Do they think they'll meet the conditions of that offer? A small minority may be still unconditional, as some universities are still offering that option with acceptance regardless of grades. But Lincoln here, we make conditional offers. If they don't understand the decision that they've got, get them to call or email the university in question for clarification, particularly if it's a reject. A reject could be as simple as a missed qualification, particularly GCSEs. We find that on a number of occasions that students actually miss a GCSE grade off, and it is vital. So it can be rectified in a lot of instances, but the university will tell them why they were rejected. So once your child gets all their offers or decisions back from the universities they've applied to, they will be required by UCAS to choose a firm or insurance choice. This is assuming that they have applied for 2 or more courses. If they've applied for only one, then it automatically becomes their firm choice. So firm is the university your child will go to if they meet the entry requirements on results day. Insurance that they choose is the backup, the one on results day. If they don't meet the requirements for their firm choice, it will drop automatically to their insurance. Ideally, get them to think about that insurance because it's preferential for them to have a lower entry requirement. Otherwise, if they have the same level of entry requirement as their firm choice and their firm has rejected them, the likelihood is that the insurance may well do too. So it would put your child into clearing. So get them to just start to think about What am I going to do with my firm and insurance choices? It's not always the case, though, that they are able to do that. And as Philippa said, here at Lincoln, we put students at the heart of all we do. And in response to the challenges students are currently facing, we have introduced that flexible admissions process, a safety net wrapped around their offer this year, really. It means we will consider your child's best work to ensure that we are being fair and take into the account the impact of the pandemic has had on their learning and outcomes. Therefore, when, as she said, Philippa, confirming a place at the university, we will take a flexible approach across the majority of our programmes. All the students we make offers to are those as well that we feel would be an asset to the university and our community. So when we receive confirmation of your child's results, we will consider both their actual and predicted grades alongside the personal statement and reference. We will guarantee, as Philippa said, their place if meeting either of the following criteria. Their confirmed grades are no more than 16 UCAS tariff points below the conditions of their offer, or their predicted grades are no more than 16 UCAS tariff points below the conditions of their offer. Subject-specific requirements, though, may still need to be met. So if they've applied for more than 2 courses, after choosing firm and insurance choice, the rest are rejected by UCAS on the student's behalf. Students, therefore, do need to keep a regular eye on UCAS track. It's there that they will be informed of the date they need to make that firm and insurance choice. Miss that date and UCAS will reject all their decisions and offers by default. If it does happen to your child, it's not the end of the world. Their firm and insurance choices will reinstate them. But it's very stressful for the student because they have to contact the universities in question. Therefore, it's very likely to be stressful for you too. And it's more work for those universities. So make sure that they keep a regular check on UCAS track to find out what's happening. Student finance is also probably the second most important thing your child will need to do in preparation to go to university. The application cycle for this year entry, 2021, has opened. So get them to start applying. They don't need to wait for their firm or insurance choice. The loans are essentially 2 separate pots of money, but students apply for them both at the same time. You need to push them to apply as quickly as possible, as Student Finance England set a deadline. This year, that deadline is the 22nd of May. If students meet that deadline with all the information that Student Finance England need, it guarantees to have their funding in place for when they start. Why do I keep pushing that? Get them to start as soon as possible. Last year, Student Finance told us that over 50% of the students left it until the deadline had passed before making their application for finance. Some were still waiting for their money in November 2020. You don't want your son or daughter to be in that situation. So let's have a look at finance in a little bit more detail, not too much. So if they're 2 separate pots, pot 1 is the tuition fee loan. It's not means tested, so they get what they ask for, up to a maximum of £9,250 a year. And it's paid direct to the institution by Student Finance England on their behalf. It doesn't just pay, though, for someone to teach them. It pays for the teaching facilities that they've been taught in and all the other learning resources on campus they have access to. So it pays for far more than just somebody stood in front of them teaching. Personally, I'd always apply for the maximum amount of tuition fee loan, because the way the loans are repaid is very, very different to any other. The amount your child repays is not based on the amount that they've borrowed, but on how much they earn. So as an example of that, somebody that had already left university and from 6th of April this year was on a salary of £30,000 would be paying back just £20.74 a month off their combined loans. A very, very small amount to be earning potentially £30,000 a year. Pot 2, the maintenance loan, pays everything else, or pays towards everything else. Their rent, their food, their bills, social life, transport, things like that. This time it is means tested. So the amount a student gets is dependent on 3 factors: where they study, where they live while they're studying, and most important, the household income of the home they currently live in. There is a guaranteed minimum amount, though, that everybody gets, regardless of household income. Above that, though, the means testing comes into effect. So whatever circumstances a student has, a student is guaranteed a minimum amount and are assured to get something. So what are the figures this year, if you're not aware? The maximum amount of maintenance loan varies from £7,987 right up to £12,382, depending on that, where they study, live while they're doing it. And to get these, they must have a household income when assessed of £25,000 or less. And that is flat across the board with all 3 areas. The minimum guarantee also varies, and this varies from £3,116 up to £6,166. Again, it's dependent on these 3 factors just mentioned. However, the upper threshold of assessed household income differs this time. It varies from just over £58,000 for living at home and studying locally to get that 3,516, to just over £70,000 for studying in London and living away from home to get that £6,166 guaranteed. It's also paid into their bank account in 3 equal instalments, so this time they will see the money. Because of that, I would recommend that they get a student bank account. They can have a student bank account running alongside their existing bank account if they have one. But a student bank account tends to give better overdraft facilities, better interest rates, and certainly incentives to join. And I've seen everything this year from 0% interest on overdrafts to 5-year student rail cards. So get them to have a look if there's something suitable. But regardless, when they do apply for student finance, they will need a bank account. To apply for it, they are going to need a bank account, some nationally recognised ID, such as a passport or a driving licence, and a national insurance number. So look into additional help that is out there for your child financially. It can come from a range of sources, including Student Finance England, universities themselves, and other organisations. So Student Finance England in particular have grants to help those with disabilities, childcare needs, dependent adults, so if they're carers and they're having to stay at home, and students who have an overseas placement as part of their course are entitled to apply for additional maintenance loan for that year. And more information on these can be found on the gov.uk student finance website. And they would apply for that as they apply for their main loans for maintenance and tuition fee. Likewise, all universities will support students through scholarships and bursaries, so check what's being offered. Here at the University of Lincoln, we have a large number of scholarships and bursaries, including 4 new ones, each worth £5,000. These are here to help cover living costs as students continue their education at degree level. For budding scientists, 1 scholarship will be awarded to a new student on the computer science degree, and another to a new student studying either biology or zoology. To help facilitate access to higher education for mature students, 1 will be awarded to a student over the age of 21 when they start, studying either English or history, while the final 1 goes to somebody over 21 joining either psychology or law. All these new scholarships have been supported through a donation by the University of Lincoln's Vice-Chancellor, Professor Mary Stewart, CBE, and more details of our scholarship or bursaries can be found on our website, lincoln.ac.uk. The other really big bursary awards are for NHS-related courses. The government is dangling a carrot on a stick here. Up to £5,000 per year, or a guaranteed minimum, I should say, of £5,000 a year is available for those studying nursing, midwifery, and allied health professions, including paramedic science. Some students may get more on top of that, but they don't need to apply for this additional money. It's calculated in their main application for the £5,000. So when looking for additional financial support, wherever it may be, your child needs to check the application process for all of them. When and how do they need to apply, or even do they need to apply? It varies on what they're looking for. It really, really does. So get them to do it in plenty of time. The best bit, other than the additional loan available for students studying overseas, is it's non-repayable. Once they've got it, they keep it and they don't have to pay it back. So accommodation, as Ben has said, accommodation is very important and certainly something that your child needs to take seriously and not leave it too late. So if your child's looking to move away from home, then accommodation is something else that should be high on their and your priority list. Again, it needs doing sooner than later, as most universities allocate on a first come, first served basis. So get your child to look at the options for all the institutions they've applied for, or certainly their potential firm and insurance choices. Application cycles vary from university to university and can be quite competitive depending on the amount of accommodation that university has. We at Lincoln are blessed with a lot of accommodation. It can also be competitive depending on what the child wants. So options around the UK certainly are self-catered halls like here at Lincoln, half board, full board, en suite, or even shared housing. So find out what they're interested in, what they want, and where are they going to look for that accommodation for those universities they're interested in. The other thing, as Ben said, is, and Ellie for that matter, all of our accommodation is in easy walking distance of the campus. Likewise, whether they apply for it, when they apply for accommodation, or how they apply may be determined on the basis of making that university their firm and insurance choice. Certainly at Lincoln it is here. So when they do make the choice of firm and insurance, just get your child to think about accommodation and find out when they can apply for it wherever they're looking to go. As Ben has also said, we have that accommodation guarantee, so that if your child applies to us by the 1st of September, we guarantee accommodation in university managed halls. So it takes the stress out of the worry of, am I going to be able to get into a place if I'm applying that little bit later? So really all I've talked about so far is really important. So they may benefit, and you for that matter, by making a to-do list or a priority of important things which can be crossed off as they're done. So it could be post-it notes stuck in somewhere that in the house that's relevant and easy to spot, so you know and they know that they've done these things ready for going to university. The final thing I want to talk about really is budgeting. The vast majority of students, when they arrive and attend at university, will have a finite pot of money to live off. So before your child goes, it's worth spending time with them, working out how much they think they will spend a week or a month on rent, other bills, transport, food, and social life, getting them to think about budgeting. This is what the maintenance loan helps with. And if you're not sure what they're likely to get, and if they're not sure what they're likely to get, there are student finance calculators that will give a rough estimate. And you can find one on the gov.uk student finance site. Martin Lewis, the money saving expert, also has one. And there are lots of others that you and they can search for on the web. It will give an estimate, and you have to be, and they have to be truthful putting that information in. Equally, just things like getting them to plan and do a food shop for you to understand actually how much these things cost can help and understand that planning is an essential part and a good transferable skill that they will need to gain. Having done the budgeting and a dry run, if there's likely to be a shortfall, how can they improve this to bring the odds back in their favour? Bank of mum and dad is certainly one option, but it's never open to all. A part-time job is another. There are normally plenty of opportunities once they get to university to pick up a part-time job. Or if they already have one, does the place that they work for allow them to transfer? Lots of big companies do allow that. And teaching is normally flexible enough to allow students to have a job. They could also become part of the university's student ambassador scheme. They assist with open days, on-campus visits, mail shots, external events, and much more. Universities couldn't survive without students' help. It's paid in one form or another. Certainly here in Lincoln, it's paid in cash, and it's great for their CV and confidence and independence building. The final one I would recommend is get them to consider discounts. An NUS or recognised student card will get discounts everywhere they go, be it retail, cinema, restaurants, and more. It saves them money, up to potentially 25% every time they shop. Travel by train as well. If they're going to do that lot, get them to get a rail card. It can pay for itself, 33% off fares in one travel to and from home. Just get them really to check and remember all these additional funding opportunities that I've talked about. There's lots of ways they could get extra money or use their money wisely. So next steps, my top tips is we've looked at the key ways your child can run up in the start to university once they've applied. And there are so many deadlines that they need to hit, and there will be consequences if they don't. So deadlines for applying for finance, potential additional support, making those firm and insurance choices, and accommodation. So as I've said, get them to do those to-do lists, because they're a great way of planning and reminding them. Make sure that they keep an eye on UCAS Track on a regular basis. It will tell them all they need to know about the progress of their applications and what they need to do next. Budgeting, as I've just talked about, is that essential skill that they need to learn and learn quickly, so you can help and advise if you think they need it. If they have a part-time job, is there a possibility that they can transfer? Fast food chains, large retail shops, supermarkets are all normally happy for students to do this, but they need to ask in plenty of time. They can't do it a couple of days before they go to university. Likewise, and as we've seen here, there is lots and lots of questions. They should be never, or you for that matter, afraid to ask those questions, however trivial or silly. There are lots of ways outside of the open days that they can do that. Here at Lincoln, they can ask through our social media accounts, live link-up events we hold, email, phone, through UniBuddy, direct to a student, or even good old-fashioned post. Whichever way, we'll endeavour to answer as quickly as possible. Talking of social media, why not join our parents' Facebook group? Really good, useful source of information for parents right the way throughout the year. And get your child to join our social media groups such as Friends for Life. Likewise, here at Lincoln, in common with many other universities, we have a GP surgery on campus. It would be ideal for your child to transfer surgeries from their local one when they start with us. Just so if they need access to a doctor quickly, they can do so without worrying that it's a considerable distance away and how are they going to get there quite quickly. Conversely, though, make sure they keep their own dentist. We don't have one on campus here, and yes, there are emergency dental practices in the city, but as you're likely to have access to a dentist relatively infrequently, I would always recommend that children keep their own. And finally, more than anything, your support and guidance and interest is essential to ensure your child and you have a smooth transition into university life, whenever that may be. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found this information helpful.